Here's the truth nobody tells you. A $300 TV and a $2,000 TV are both showing you the same Netflix show. So why does one cost 6 times more? I'm going to walk you through 5 price tiers, show you exactly what changes at each step, and by the end, you'll know where your money actually matters and where you're just paying for a logo. No fluff, no sponsored talking points, just the real breakdown. Let's go. Tier 1, $300 to $500. Entry level, this is budget territory. You're looking at TVs like the Hisense U6K, the Roku Plus series, Samsung CU7000, or the Vizio V series. Here's what you're getting. These sets can play 4K content. Sports look fine, YouTube looks fine. If you're watching the news in a normal living room, you're not going to hate it. Some of these, like the Hisense U6N, even have mini LED backlighting now, which is a massive upgrade from the old edge-lit panels that made every dark scene look gray. So what's the problem? HDR is basically fake. Yeah, the TV says it supports HDR10 or HLG, but it doesn't have the brightness or the color range to actually show you what HDR is supposed to do. Highlights don't pop, fire doesn't glow, sunsets look flat. You're getting the label without the experience. Also, these are 60 Hz panels. Motion isn't terrible for casual watching, but fast sports or action scenes can look a little blurry. And most of these don't have proper VRR variable refresh rate, so if you're gaming, you might see screen tearing. The build quality feels cheap because it is cheap. Thin plastic frames, speakers that sound like they're coming from a cereal box, and the operating systems, expect ads, lots of ads. But here's my honest take. If you're buying a second TV for a bedroom, or you just need something that works and you're not picky, this tier gets the job done. It's like going from tap water to seltzer fizzy, but it's still not champagne. Tier 2, $500 to $900. The value sweet spot. This is where things get interesting. You're now looking at the TCL Q7, the Sony X90L when it's on sale, or the Vizio Quantum Pro. And this is the tier where I tell most people to shop, because the upgrades here are massive for the money. First, you're getting real quantum dot panels or entry-level mini LED. That means brighter HDR, better color volume, and actual local dimming with dozens to 100+ zones. When you watch a movie with highlights like headlights in a night scene or sparks from a fire, you'll finally see them glow instead of just looking washed out. Second, 120 Hz panels start showing up here. And some models like the TCL Q7 have 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, which means if you have a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X, you can actually play games at 4K 120 without compromise. Dolby Vision and HDR10 Plus are way more common in this tier, and peak brightness hits 700 to over 1,000 nits on the better units. That's a real, visible difference. Now, motion handling still isn't perfect. You'll see some haloing around bright objects on dark backgrounds if you're sitting off to the side. And the build quality is better than entry level, but you're still not getting metal frames or premium speakers. But here's why this tier matters. This is where HDR finally looks alive. Sports are crisp, gaming feels next gen, movies actually have depth. It's like switching from earbuds to studio monitors, same song, way more detail. So is it worth the jump from tier 1? Absolutely. If you watch a lot of content and you care even a little bit about picture quality, this is the minimum you should spend. And if you're liking how real this comparison is, no hype, just facts, tap the like button, it really helps the channel. Tier 3, $900 to $1,300. Mid-range performance. Now we're in serious territory. You're looking at the Hisense U8N, the TCL QM8 when it's on sale, or the Samsung Q90D in smaller sizes. And this is the tier where most enthusiasts land, because the picture quality jumps again, but so does the price. Here's what changes. Mini LED backlighting with hundreds to over 1,600 zones, depending on the size and model. That means way less blooming, smoother transitions between bright and dark areas, and HDR highlights that actually dazzle. We're talking peak brightness between 1,000 and 2,000 nits. When you watch something like Dune or a Marvel movie in a dark room, it finally looks like a theater experience. Motion handling gets better. Upscaling gets better. And gaming features are complete. 4K, 120, VRR, low input lag, and auto low latency mode across the board. The TCL QM8 even does 144 Hz on some models. Now, here's the catch. Viewing angles are still the weak spot on most of these because they use VA panels. If you're sitting off to the side, colors wash out and contrast drops. Also, some brands looking at you, Samsung dim the picture in game mode compared to movie mode, which is annoying if you game a lot. But if you're sitting center in a dark or normal room, watching movies or playing games, this tier looks phenomenal. It's like switching from motel curtains to blackout drapes. Shadows finally look black instead of gray. So, is it worth the extra $300 to $400 over Tier 2? If you're a movie person or a serious gamer, yes. If you mostly watch daytime TV or sports, probably not. Okay, let's take a breath. We've covered 3 tiers. Here's where we are, $300 to $500. It works, but HDR is weak and motion isn't great. $500 to $900, this is the sweet spot for most people. Real HDR, 120Hz panels, good gaming features, $900 to $1,300. Mini LED brightness and zone counts get serious. Movies look theatrical. Gaming is smooth and bright. If this is already helping you budget smart, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next, because the top 2 tiers are where things get wild. All right, let's keep going. Tier 4, $1,300 to $1,800. High-end enthusiast. This is where you hit the fork in the road. Do you want a premium mini LED that's crazy bright? Or do you want an OLED with perfect blacks? Let's talk OLED first. The LG C4 OLED is the king of this tier, and it frequently drops to around $1,400 on sale. Here's why people love it. Every pixel makes its own light. That means perfect black levels, infinite contrast, and zero blooming. When you watch a dark scene like a horror movie or the Batman, the blacks are truly black, not lifted or gray. In motion, instant pixel response, no blur, no smearing. It's the cleanest motion you can get. Gaming on the C4 is absurd. 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, 4K 144Hz, VRR, near zero input lag. If you're a gamer, this is the dream. Now, the trade-off. OLEDs aren't as bright as mini LEDs in full-field scenes. If your room is flooded with sunlight, highlights won't punch as hard. And there's ABL, automatic brightness limiting, which dims the screen when large areas are bright, like a snow scene or a bright menu screen. On the mini LED side, you've got the Samsung Q90D. This thing is brilliantly bright. We're talking some of the best reflection handling and peak brightness you can get. Great for daytime sports or bright rooms, but it has quirks. Local dimming can act weird in SDR content, and it's dimmer in game mode than movie mode, which is frustrating. So here's my honest take. If you watch movies in a dark room, game a lot, or care about motion, get the OLED. If you watch a lot of daytime sports, or your room has big windows, get the mini LED. Either way, this tier is where the picture quality jumps from really good to wow. It's like taking the sunglasses off at night, blacks go truly inky and motion snaps into focus. Tier 5, $1,800 to $2,500. Flagship premium. This is the top, the best of the best. You're looking at the Samsung S90D QD OLED, the Sony Bravia 8 OLED, or the TC LQM 8K in larger sizes when it's on sale. Let's talk QD, OLED, Quantum Dot, OLED, because it's the new hotness. The Samsung S90D combines OLED's perfect blacks with quantum dots for wider color and better brightness than traditional WOLEDs. It handles reflections better than most OLEDs. It's fast up to 144 Hz, and it looks stunning in both bright and dark rooms. If you want the most saturated, punchy colors with perfect black levels, this is it. The Sony Bravia 8 is a WOLED, so it's not as bright as the Samsung, but Sony's processing is legendary. Skin tones look natural. Upscaling is flawless. Motion is smooth. It's the set you buy if you care about accuracy and you watch a lot of older or lower resolution content. And then there's the TCL-QM 8K, a mini LED monster. 1680 zones in the 65-inch model. Over 2,000 nits of peak brightness. This is for people who want sun-proof brightness and don't mind a little haloing in exchange for HDR that literally hurts to look at in the best way. Here's the thing. The jump from Tier 4 to Tier 5 is subtle. You're getting better processing, better tone mapping, more color accuracy, and maybe a slightly more premium build. But visually, most people won't notice unless they're sitting close, watching reference content and pixel peeping. So is it worth it? Only if you're picky, you have the budget, and you're chasing perfection. For everyone else, Tier 4 is already incredible. Let's summarize what you're really paying for: HDR headroom and color. Entry-level HDR is mostly a sticker. It doesn't look much different than SDR. Value and mid-range, finally bright enough for real highlights. Quantum dots and more dimming zones mean fewer washed-out scenes. High-end and flagship, OLED gives you perfect blacks. Mini LED gives you sun-proof brightness. Both have refined tone mapping that makes every scene look intentional. Motion and gaming. You go from 60 Hz with no VRR to 120 or 144 Hz with full HDMI 2.1. Game mode stays brighter on better sets, so you're not choosing between responsiveness and picture quality. Local dimming precision. You start with no zones or just a handful, move to hundreds, then thousands. OLED gives you per pixel control, which means the least blooming possible. Build sound and software. Cheap sets have plasticky frames and weak speakers. Premium sets have sturdier builds, better speakers sometimes, and faster. Processors that make the UI smoother and upscaling sharper. Here's your screenshot-worthy list: $300 to $500. Hisense U6K or U6N. Roku Plus series. Samsung CU 7000. Vizio V series. $500 to $900. TCL. Q7. Sony X90L on sale. Vizio Quantum Pro. $900 to $1,300. Hisense U8N. TCL Q M8 on sale. Samsung Q90D in smaller sizes. $1,300 to $1,800. LG C4 OLED, usually around $1,400 on sale. Samsung Q90D, $1,800 to $2,500. Samsung S90D QD, Sony Bravia 80 LED. TCL QM8K in big sizes. So here's the real answer. The difference between a $500 TV and a $2,000 TV isn't just specs, it's experience. A budget TV gets the job done. A mid-range TV makes you enjoy watching more. A high-end TV makes you stop scrolling your phone during movies. Where should you spend? If you're casual and you just need something that works, $500 to $900. That's the value sweet spot. If you love movies, you game, or you care about picture quality, $1,300 to $1,800. That's where it gets special. If you're chasing perfection and you have the budget, go flagship. But know that you're paying premium prices for incremental gains. And if you're still not sure, here's what I do. Tell me your budget, your room type, and what you watch most. Comment it below, and I'll tell you exactly what's worth it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.